I'm Beth Hoffman, and you're listening to At the Iowa Farm Table, brought to you by the Iowa Food System Coalition. This week's show builds off of the last episode, so don't miss listening to that one too. But it's an encouraging story this week. It's a story about groups working together, about small businesses becoming more efficient. And by the end, we'll give you some unsolicited advice, how to best encourage the growing of healthy food in Iowa or anywhere you happen to live.
My name is Victoria Harris, and I live in Grinnell, Iowa.
Harris is a newish customer to Grinnell Farm to Table. It's a food hub in Grinnell, kind of like a grocery store, except very different. There are about 10 hubs in Iowa located throughout the state. A few have brick and mortar shops. Most only do online sales. They take orders from both big and small customers, people like Harris, and places like restaurants, school districts, and hospitals. Then they work with farmers to aggregate the products, dealing with all the logistics of getting them where they need to go. It's a kind of new supply chain, one that's not dependent upon big companies, and they pay farmers fairly.
So I've always been pretty aware of food and ingredients and nutrition.
Harris places her order online with the hub about once every 2 weeks, then picks up the milk, grains, and other food on the appointed day a week later. Some might find such a system inconvenient, but Victoria says it saves her a lot of time and energy.
If anything, I think this creates accessibility and a convenience factor that I don't always get. You know, when I go to the grocery store, it's really hard to read up on a product that I'm purchasing. So what I love about this is their website includes these blurbs and a little background about each farmer or producer that I'm purchasing from. So a lot of times I've, dove a little bit deeper and looked up their website, and I've got to see pictures of the farm that the cows are on. And I think it provides a really neat relationship with the producer to consumer.
Harris might not be able to get socks or pick up cat food when she shops with the Grinnell Farm to Table, but what she does get is a far easier connection, community, and a wealth of information.
I specifically love the grains because I personally try to stay away from grains that are sprayed with glyphosate. Paul's grains are organic, not sprayed with anything, so that's really given me peace of mind.
The story of food hubs in Iowa, like Grinnell Farm to Table, goes back about a decade. Some hubs, like the Iowa Food Co-op we'll hear from later, are even older. It started because people like Harris wanted to purchase food directly from farmers, and farmers wanted to sell directly to customers year-round. They opened stores or put out catalogs, and customers ordered. In 2014, a group formed to get these food hubs together. Food activist and owner of Grinnell Farm to Table, Tommy Hexter, was still in college when he first started to attend the meetings.
I remember in 2019 joining the Food Hub Managers Working Group calls, and it has this crazy acronym, FHMWG, which is not a very sexy acronym, and if you try and say it, it sounds like FUMWUG. But at that time, it was just a bi-weekly group meeting of all of the food hubs in the state of Iowa. And to me at that time, not having any experience in food hubs, I just sat in and listened and learned.
The group met to talk about challenges in their small businesses, but very quickly they realized that working together could solve some of their problems.
And I think it was 2021 when the Hub-to-Hub network was officially started. The Hub-to-Hub network is a trucking route that happens every week where each food hub that has a truck, which I think there's 4 food hubs that have trucks, play a certain role in the trucking route.
The trucks travel the state.
Iowa Food Hub drives from Decorah to Iowa City, and then
stopping and picking up items along the way.
Picks up stuff in Iowa City, Kelowna, and Fairfield, and drives it to Des Moines and Ames. Farm table delivery.
This hub-to-hub network was strengthened because of federal programs that supported food farming in Iowa, the local food for schools, and the local food purchasing programs, which we covered in the last episode. But because the schools and food banks were so big and needed large quantities of apples or tomatoes or yogurt, for example, The network formed. It helps streamline logistics and make the process of getting food from farm to table more reliable and efficient.
Those federal purchasing programs for schools and food pantries greatly helped the trucks fill up because they were increased markets for each food hub and bigger orders. The hub-to-hub network is a coordinated series of drop points between the food hubs where they can purchase and sell products to each other to make sure that product can flow efficiently from one part of the state to the next. And it happens every single week.
In 2024, we purchased from 32 different small independent Iowa producers.
That's Karen Davis, the general manager at the Iowa Food Co-op, or IFC, a food hub in Des Moines. Along with its partners, IFC did all of the ordering, coordinating, aggregating, and financial reporting for the federal programs around Iowa's capital city.
We learned how important just the most humble boost in sales meant for our small local independent producers and for a tiny organization like our own. The biggest eye-opener for me personally as general manager was when we partner with other food hubs and join our forces to help feed people and support the local food economy, that what we could accomplish. The networking opened my eyes personally to how we could be doing better and more for the local food systems.
As I talked about in the last show, the federal dollars were a good economic investment, but the money also helped solidify a sort of alternative local food system. Instead of just growing corn and soybeans in Iowa and exporting them out of the state, we could use our incredible soil to grow food for Iowans and get it to them. During the federal programs, the Hub-to-Hub network delivered food to 95 of Iowa's 99 counties. Using tax dollars to help farmers and businesses is not a new thing. It's been going on since the Depression. For almost 100 years, government payments, programs, and crop insurance have been used to ensure that farms can survive, even when their crops fail or the market for their products crashes. Except that support has not been equally distributed to all types of farmers. Some crops are more favored than others in this system, and they continue to be. At the very same time the Trump administration cut funding for local food programs, they sent out $10 billion in expedited payments to others. Who got that money? Those who farm corn, soybeans, cotton, rice, peanuts, 21 crops in all, including 8 different crops like canola used to make oil. Again, Tommy Hexter.
What happened when the government started giving price support to commodity farmers was that the commodity farms got way more productive and the food system became way more organized and coordinated. And the same thing happened when we started the LFPA and LFS programs. Local food farmers got way more productive and our food hub network got way more organized. And so now our commodity programs have existed for 90 years in America. They've had a 90-year runway. The LFPA and LFS have had a 3-year runway for local food farmers. And I think with another 3 years, or with another 10 years, or with another 90 years, we would see that the local food system would be able to become equally as productive and organized as our industrial food system is right now.
Yet even with only 3 years under their belts, the Hub-to-Hub network in Iowa is impressive. It can provide food from around the state that you can't get at a grocery store, locally grown, vetted food and products that are traceable to their source. Karen Davis of the Iowa Food Co-op showed me around the small storefront on Franklin Avenue in Des Moines.
Currently, we have around 15 different meat producers. In order to sell meat through our platform, the farmer has to own the animals and raise those animals themselves on their own land for at least the last 2/3 of the animal's life leading up to processing, so that we can confidently relay what practices were used in the raising of those animals.
It's ironic to me that although the Iowa Food Co-op storefront is a fraction of the size of a regular grocery store, the shop actually provides consumers with more choice and far more information. Although the meat aisle at Walmart might look like it has a lot of variety, virtually all of the products on it come from only 4 companies, raising animals in similar ways, almost always in confinement. This, perhaps, is a new and different type of convenience than with hubs, as Victoria mentioned. Instead of spending hours Googling different products or standing in the aisle of the Hy-Vee wondering where they came from, you could simply shop through a local hub. Of course, the Iowa Hub-to-Hub network and the hubs within it still have a lot to figure out. Their reach is limited mostly to those who live in cities, and sales from customers can be very sporadic. Now that the funding has stopped, most are also not sure how to keep the schools and food banks buying from them. Tommy Hexter thinks that a lot of the issues boil down to a lack of marketing know-how.
I know from anecdotal experience that 95 to 100% of people would, if you ask them, say that they support local farms. But it seems like less than 5% of those people are currently buying from local farms. And so there's a huge gap between the number of people who want to support local farms in theory and who have actually been marketed to enough where they're able to conveniently support local farms. And I think the biggest thing is having that ready-to-go catalog for institutional buyers of this is what we offer. This is when we deliver. How can we work this into your schedule? That sort of question of just like the logistics of how can the actual sales work. And so I'd like to see, more support from the institution world, like grocery store buyers, like hospitals, like our prison system, like our state government, in terms of actually setting procurement goals that align with some of their values of supporting the local economy.
So how can you help? Shopping at a hub, buying from local food farmers in Iowa, eating at restaurants that source local food, it is all tremendously helpful. But don't forget, too, to ask your school district, the hospital, your favorite restaurant, where do they get food from? Encourage them to support food farmers in Iowa and to check out their local hub for products. Again, Karen Davis.
So I just want to, in every opportunity I get, I want to make sure that I ask for a call to action to support restaurants and businesses that sell local food, that keep our dollars in our local communities, that increase the sustainability of producers to supply us with healthy food that is both environmentally sustainable and economically sustainable without dependence on huge corporate entities.
You can also help the Iowa Food System Coalition in asking the Iowa legislature for $3 million in additional funding for the Choose Iowa Purchasing Program. This program could help the hubs continue to work out the kinks, and it would be an investment in this alternative, healthier food system. We would also be supporting a network our state should be proud of. We'll link more information about this ask in our show notes. Lastly, we want to hear from you. How have you found ways to support local farms? Any tricks, how to buy local products, how you've made it more of your daily habit? Email us with your stories, and we'll include some of them in upcoming episodes. This is At the Iowa Farm Table. Very special thanks to Tommy Hexter, Victoria Harris, and Karen Davis. Mallory DeVries edited this piece, and Chris Schwartz and Lobo Loco wrote the music. I'm Beth Hoffman with the Iowa Food System Coalition. Thanks for listening.